This is absolute madness. What you're about to witness will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Formula One team loyalty. We're talking about a betrayal so shocking, so utterly mind-blowing, that it sent shockwaves rippling through the entire paddock and has Oscar Piastri's championship dreams hanging by the thinnest of threads. The McLaren garage at Monza should have been a place of celebration. Instead, it became the scene of the most explosive team controversy of the entire 2025 season. 11 words over the team radio changed everything. Oscar, let Lando through. Those words didn't just alter the outcome of the Italian Grand Prix, they ignited a firestorm that's threatening to tear McLaren's championship campaign apart from the inside out. Picture this nightmare scenario unfolding in real time. Piastri, leading the championship by a commanding 31 points, crosses the line in third place at the legendary Cathedral of Speed. The numbers look fantastic on paper, but behind those statistics lies a tale of mechanical disasters, strategic blunders, and decisions so controversial they've left the entire Formula One world asking one burning question. Has McLaren completely lost their minds when it matters most? This wasn't supposed to happen. The day started with such promise, such perfect strategic coordination that would have made championship-winning teams from the past green with envy. The Italian sun was blazing down on the historic Monza circuit. 53 laps of pure racing lay ahead, and McLaren had positioned themselves to deliver a knockout blow to their championship rivals. Instead, they were about to orchestrate their own downfall in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. The trap was set in the most innocent way possible, and nobody saw the disaster coming. Piastri peeled into the pits first, following a strategic call that came direct. Live from Norris himself, an act of teammate solidarity designed to protect the Australian from the lurking menace of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. It was textbook racing intelligence, the kind of seamless team coordination that separates legends from forgotten also-rans. But Formula One has a twisted sense of humour, and McLaren was about to become the unwitting stars of their own tragic comedy. When Norris followed his teammate into the pit lane just one lap later, expecting the routine ballet of a lightning-fast tyre change, the unthinkable happened. The McLaren pit crew, who had been absolutely flawless all season long, chose this moment, this crucial moment, to have their worst performance of the entire campaign. 5.9 seconds. That's all it took to transform perfect strategy into public relations carnage that will haunt McLaren for months to come. Those precious seconds stretched like an eternity as Norris sat helpless in his cockpit, watching his track position evaporate while his championship hopes seemed to drain away with each passing millisecond. The wheels that should have flown off with military precision stuck stubbornly. The pneumatic guns that usually sang in perfect harmony fell silent at the worst possible moment in McLaren's season. When the smoke cleared and Norris finally rejoined the circuit, he found himself staring at the most uncomfortable sight in racing, the rear wing of his own teammate. Piastri, through absolutely no fault of his own, had inherited superior track position purely because McLaren's usually perfect pit crew had chosen this moment to crumble under pressure. This is where our story transforms from routine race management into the kind of championship-defining controversy that will be debated for years to come. Instead of letting their drivers settle this matter on track through pure speed and racecraft, the way racing gods in tea ended, McLaren's strategists made a decision that has left fans around the world absolutely speechless with rage. The radio message cut through the Italian air like a knife through McLaren's championship dreams. Oscar, let Lando through. Just like that, with those 5 devastating words, McLaren had thrown their own driver under the bus for a mistake that was completely beyond his control. The corporate justification was wrapped in strategic speak that fooled absolutely nobody. They claimed Oscar had benefited from advantageous pit timing because he was under pressure from Leclerc. The brutal reality was far more damning. Piastri was being sacrificed on the altar of McLaren's mechanical incompetence, surrendering track position he had earned through superior racecraft because someone in the pit lane couldn't change 4 wheels fast enough. But here's where this story gets absolutely electrifying. Piastri's response over the radio will go down in Formula One folklore as a masterclass in diplomatic fury that sent chills through every racing fan watching. We said that a slow pit stop was part of racing, so I don't really get what's changed here, but if you really want to do it, then I'll do it. Every single word dripped with barely contained frustration, but the most spine-tingling part was what happened next. Immediate compliance without the drawn-out radio drama that had defined similar situations in recent memory. The Australian driver remembered all too well the painful circus that had unfolded at Hungary the previous season when roles were reversed, and he wasn't about to give the media that satisfaction again. Meanwhile, at the front of this chaos, Max Verstappen was putting on an absolutely breathtaking display of pure racing dominance that reminded every single person watching why he's considered one of the greatest drivers who ever lived. The four-time world champion had spent the early part of 2025 watching McLaren dictate race after race, but at Monza he inched the unstoppable force that had made 2023 feel like a nightmare for his competitors. After switching to hard tyres on lap 38, Verstappen didn't just control the race, he completely disappeared into the Italian countryside, building a lead with the kind of effortless authority that has become his terrifying trademark. While McLaren consumed themselves with internal politics and strategic second-guessing, the Red Bull driver cruised to victory with a crushing 19-second margin that highlighted just how much energy McLaren had wasted fighting themselves instead of their real championship enemy. The irony was absolutely suffocating for McLaren fans watching this catastrophe unfold around the world. Their team possessed the fastest cars on the grid and should have been mounting a serious two-car assault on Verstappen's dominance. Instead, they were drowning in their own organisational chaos while their biggest rival picked up yet another victory almost unopposed. The social media explosion was immediate, merciless, and absolutely devastating. Platforms erupted with fury from fans who felt they had witnessed McLaren throw away their competitive advantage through sheer strategic malpractice. The criticism wasn't just coming from armchair experts. Legends of the sport were lining up to condemn what they had witnessed. Nico Rosberg, who survived the brutal psychological warfare of the Hamilton partnership at Mercedes, didn't hold back during his Sky F1 analysis. His words carried the weight of championship-level experience as he delivered a damning verdict. McLaren requires some talks after what happened at Monza. Piastri was punished for a mistake he had absolutely no hand in making. But the real gut punch came in the post-race interviews, where both drivers looked like men who had survived a car crash. Piastri maintained his diplomatic composure with surgical precision, but his carefully chosen words carried undertones that suggested future compliance would come with serious conditions. There were a lot of things to learn from this weekend, he said, and those words sounded less like standard driver diplomacy and more like a warning shot fired directly at McLaren's decision-makers. Norris looked even worse, like a man who had won a battle he never wanted to fight. There was no celebration, no triumph, just the hollow acknowledgement that McLaren had fundamentally screwed up and he had been handed a position that would forever carry an asterisk next to it. The nightmare scenario for McLaren isn't what happened at Monza. It's the realization that they're walking the same dangerous path that destroyed Ferrari's championship chances during their early 2000s political chaos. They're playing with organisational fire, while their biggest rival continues racking up victories, and every race that passes makes their task more impossible. When the checkered flag fell at the Cathedral of Speed, it should have been McLaren's moment of triumph. Instead, it became a harsh reminder that sometimes your biggest enemy isn't wearing a different coloured helmet. Sometimes they're sitting in the same garage, making decisions that could cost you everything you've worked for. The question that will haunt McLaren for the rest of this championship fight is whether they'll learn from this disaster or whether they're destined to repeat it when the stakes get even higher.